Hi guys, welcome back aboard good old Athena. It is a beautiful late November crispy morning here in Gosport. This week we will have some DIY fun with some plywood, we'll do a bit of painting, and we'll prep for the installation of our super spiffy flooring. If you're new to our channel, my name is Mess and this is my fiance Ava. I've spent the last 5 years doing a somewhat extensive refit on my 1987 Warrior 38 named Athena. That involved all kinds of fun stuff like building a new rudder using vacuum infusion, gutting most of the interior to make structural repairs, and then subsequently rebuilding most of the interior. I also rebuilt the entire deck and painted the top sides. All of that fun is documented in hundreds of videos here on YouTube. Here aboard Athena, we have an issue, a charging issue. We have a bunch of little electronic gizmos, camera gear, and just a bunch of stuff that needs to be charged. And we don't really have anywhere of doing that. So this week we're going to build a little charging station here on the side of the kitchen island where access is going to be super easy for the camera gear and just, somewhere where we can charge all of our doohickeys. Yesterday, this stuff showed up. This is our super spiffy new flooring. Right now, as a floor, we have painted plywood and it doesn't look that great. Next week, we're going to be installing this stuff, which is made specifically for boats. So that is going to be exciting. But for us to be able to install this, there is some prep work we need to get out of the way. Right here, we need to reinforce the cabin sole. It's gone a little soft after I cut up this section to install this pole. And before installing new flooring, we need this to be nice and strong again. We also need to cover up the hull in here to hide that bit of conduit. And last but not least, we need to paint the toe kicks down here in preparation of installing some lights that are really going to make the new flooring pop. And last but certainly not least, we'll throw Ava into the deep end of the pool and have her build some shelves for our storage here in the galley so we can utilize it a little bit more efficiently. A quick thank you to our friend Daryl from the marina here who helped us procure some plywood. It can be difficult to get stuff here without a car, so thank you so much, Daryl. Now let's get started. When I built the kitchen island, I first built a stainless steel frame that's through-bolted through the structural members under the cabin sole. This is what the kitchen island is then secured to. I built it this way to be able to lift the kitchen island out of the way in case we ever need to get access to the 200-liter diesel tank that's hiding inside of the kitchen island. Our charging and gizmo area is going to be attached directly to the side of the kitchen island. That'll also hide the connections to the fridge and the diesel tank. But the gizmo box should be removable because underneath here is the compressor for our fridge. And at some point that's going to need service or something's going to break. So I don't want to have to lift the entire kitchen island up and out of the way just to get to that. It'll be much easier just to remove the gizmo box. It's the next day. The exterior grade wood glue I used have had a chance to do its magic. So yeah, this is basically ready for a little bit of trimming and some paint. But Ava and I were looking at this earlier and Ava had a great idea of adding a little storage area here on the side for our laptops and iPads.
For those of you who are wondering how we live and work in this space, on days when we're generating a lot of dust, we take all the cushions and pillows and we move them into the forward cabin.
Now that we've been cleared for takeoff, let's get started on the little laptop holding area. It looks like we have hoses and whatnot protruding out about 7 centimeters from the kitchen island. We have 17 centimeters inside of this, and that leaves us, well, a good little area for the laptops and iPads. With the hoses we need to clear, the opening here is only gonna be about 6 centimeters, so it's not gonna be huge. So we might only use it for iPads, but I still think this is a good idea for storing iPads or laptops. This thing is coming along nicely. We've got the 3 little compartments here from yesterday for camera gear, battery charging, and other stuff. And now we have the laptop charging storage area there on the side. I think this will work out. I've ordered 3 little red courtesy LED lights, one for each of these 3 lockers. That's going to help us find stuff at night. I've also ordered a bunch of USB outlets so we can charge stuff. And yeah, I think this thing's going to end up being pretty spiffy. Next up, we need to get this ready for paint. After having rounded over the corners and given this thing a light sanding, there is a little bit of putty work to be done because this plywood does have some voids in it. There's an example of that right here. Now, from a structural standpoint or from a durability standpoint, for this, it does not matter. But for looks, yeah, we gotta fill that. Along the top up here is not so important because this is eventually gonna get covered by a piece of trim, so we don't care so much about that. But the insides of the openings here, and also these rounded over edges, those I do care about. It doesn't look like much yet, but yeah, I've got the lid for the thing here. Once that's on there and everything is painted, I think it's gonna look really good. Now, Ava and I have just been to get our flu shots, and while we're out, we picked up a little space heater so we can blast the thickened epoxy I've used to adhere everything in place. So yeah, chop chop, thickened epoxy. As soon as this is all painted, I do have a bit of cable management to take care of here, not only up by the Mac Mini, but also in this compartment. There's a bunch of cable there for the windlass that just needs to be let off to the batteries and stuff like that. So all of this will get tidied up.
Last night, Matt and I spent time building this shelf and the shelves in the forward cabin together because today I am going to build the shelves on my own because Matt thinks I need to do more work around here. No, just kidding. He has a lot of things to do, so I said I would take on the shelf building job. And last night I listened very intently, so today it's all on me to build these shelves straight. First step, hydration, because if these don't turn out right, there's gonna be lots of crying. You're gonna wanna decide where to put your shelf. And this is 21, so I think we'll do it at, and just, I'm gonna be going between imperial and metric measurements this whole time, so you're just gonna have to follow along. So 21 inches, yeah, let's just do it 10.5. Time to bring in the big guns, the laser. You gotta see, I'm gonna line it up from one end to see how wide the shelf needs to be. 60 centimeters. What?
I would just like to point out that yes, that is 60.5 centimeters.
Like I said, 60.5 centimeters. I'm just gonna make sure that this piece of plywood is big enough, and it is. It's 62, and this is 35, which it's 35 wide in there, but this is perfect because we need to make it a little thinner to fit the insulation in. Let's say about a 32, or give her 28. So I have my support cut, but see there's this bolt here, so now we have to make some space in the support for the bolt. And she fits. And we left this little gap here because it's easier to line up one whole piece than to have to line up 2 little pieces if we cut it in half. Once I figure out how to open this.
It's already open. I took the thing off for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, you're just gonna give it a generous dab from this mini Sikaflex. so it's nice and secure. There was a arm length issue, so Mads had to step in with the screwing. This Ava project has really turned into a couples project.
Yep, it's really freeing up some time for me to do other stuff.
We have to cut this to make it fit, so I measured both sides of the supports, and I'm going to transfer those measurements to the plywood. Mads hates when I do this because I go a lot slower than him.
Sometimes slowness or taking your time translates into precision. That's not really the case here, though.
I meant to do that. Oh no.
Well, first off, I do believe you've got it in the wrong way around.
Oh. What? Oh. Damn it! And booyah to your mama! Here it is. After a little bit of fiddling and messing with it, now it fits perfectly. All we have to do is add a little lip here to help stiffen up the shelf and make sure things don't roll out when we're sailing.
Thanks to the magic of a round over bit on the router, we now have a spiffy looking lip on here. Unfortunately, we are out of lip material, so there'll be no lip on this shelf, but we had enough to put generous lips on these two shelves in the forward cabin. Of course, whatever we're going to be storing up there is going to have to be secured some way besides just the lip, but it's nice to have there. Through the magic of doing stuff off camera, everything is now ready for paint. All of the shelves, the charging area, underneath the nav station, the inside of this locker in the head, the toe kick in both the galley and under the kitchen island, and the sides of this little area, so we're fully prepped for flooring next week. Just as in last week's video, or when I was painting the hull, I'm going to be using Interprotect for a primer and then undercoat to finish everything off, and it's going to look amazing. Before I dive into the painting, I've got this little box of goodies that showed up yesterday. This is all stuff for the inside of the charging area. There's some heat shrink crimp-on connectors here. Those are not too interesting. I picked up some very short USB cables just so we don't have a lot of cable bundled up inside of the charging area. I think that's going to work out really well. Then there's a bunch of these courtesy lights. This is a little switch to mount on the side of the charging area for turning on those courtesy lights. Then we have, I think it's 6 of these USB outlet things. There are 2 different types here. This is the 1016 and this is the 1045. The difference is, well, the amperage. This is 2.1 amps and this is 4.8. But for a lot of the batteries we're going to be charging, I doubt they'll be able to pull almost 5 amps anyways. So yeah, I figured the smaller one, which is about half the price, was a good fit. There's also a bunch of cable in here, and last but not least, some bus bars just to help us make everything nice and tidy inside of the charging area. Hopefully I'll have time to install all of this by the end of this video, but we are a little bit pressed for time, so let's hurry up and get to the painting. It's a few days later and I am just about to apply the final coat of paint. But before I do that, outdoors the remnants of the storm named, I believe, Arvin are blowing through. It's not bad here, but I've already been to the chandlery and picked up some extra line and one of these oddly phallic-shaped mooring compensators. I think we saw a single gust of around 36 knots during the night. Right now we're sitting at around 16, 17 knots, so in no way is it bad here, but further north I believe it was pretty windy. Now, even though we haven't seen that high sustained winds, we have gotten some good gusts that's kind of shook the boat a little bit, and this guy is going to help with that. He's just going to take care of those shock loads and make it a little bit more comfortable to be aboard. I'll leave our regular line in place and just add the mooring compensator and have that take up the load. That way, in case something happens to the mooring compensator, we'll still have our regular line there. Right now, the wind is pushing the boat away from this finger, which is nice because that means when it's gusting, we don't get slammed into the finger. But still, we do have all of our fenders in place. Speaking of fenders, you might have noticed that our fender two-step has changed color. The one we had before was blue. After we featured that one in a video, the inventor of the fender step and the fender two-step reached out. We got to meet him, Malcolm, super nice guy. He came to see us and he brought a gray fender step to match the color of all of our other fenders. He also brought us this somewhat futuristic looking fender, the Fender Flex. It's a fender but with a hinge in the middle so that you can kind of wrap it around stuff. I've never seen anything like this before. Here are some examples of how the Fender Flex can be used, and like I said, I've never seen a product like this before, so I thought it was kind of cool. I particularly like this example down here where this is a swim platform which is difficult to fender off because it's rounded or curved, so they just pop the Fender Flex in here on the pontoon of the finger, and that looks like it'll work. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys this. A big thank you to Malcolm for our fancy Fender Flex and the color coordinated Fender two-step, which I know Ava loves. Now let me go ahead and get the last coat of paint on here, so let's skip ahead until tomorrow. It's Sunday morning and the paint has fully cured. I love how tidy it looks underneath the nav station now. I still need to tidy up the wiring for the Mac Mini, but yeah, this is a big improvement. The device storage / charging area is coming along nicely too. Of course, it's in no way wired up yet, but I've laid out everything I need to do that. I only have a few hours until I need to start rendering this video, so it'll be ready for tonight. So yeah, let's get a move on. Phew, we made it. I really wanted to show you guys the charging station in action in the end of this video, and look at that, we've got lights, and we also have the first bit of stuff charging in here. Now I still want to come up with some kind of foam insert to have the camera sit nice and snug when it's in there, and maybe some way of securing the chargers and stuff. But yeah, this is certainly a good start. All of the USB leads in here are super short ones at 20 centimeters, so we don't get a lot of cable mess in there. And look at this, a flashlight that's always charged. That's gonna be really awesome. This is not secured to the kitchen island yet because we want to add a couple of AC outlets inside of it for the iPad and laptop storage area. We also want to add 2 MagSafe chargers here to the top of this surface so we can plump our phones down and just charge them that way. Ava's already temporarily moved all of our stuff onto the new shelves. We will have to pull all of this back out again when we get our hands on some insulation. So yeah, this is not really 100% done either. We are on track to start putting in the new flooring on Monday. I just need to get my hands on some Sikaflex and then we should be good to go. So yeah, we hope to see all you guys back here aboard Athena next week for yet more DIY fun. As always, feel free to leave a comment down below, and don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video,
Please remember to leave a like.
see you!